Hi everyone, this is Tanya Gibbs from Psycho Mom Scrapbooks and More, and I showed a tutorial on, or not a tutorial, but just a show and tell of this book that I created using a tutorial from following the paper trail, and some people are confused and they were wanting me to do another tutorial of this. So here I've put together a kit for Mother's Day for a class project that I'm working on with some kindergartners. So the book that I'm going to put together, because I have all the supplies already pre-cut, is going to be different than this one, but it's the same concept. So it's just not the same papers and things. It's just, you know, a different thing. But what you're going to do is take a number 10 envelope, just a standard everyday number 10 envelope. You want to make sure you seal all of your envelopes, glue them down good and tight on all the envelopes. Then you're going to come in and you're going to cut, because a number 10 envelope is 9.5 inches wide. So if you're an international person, I don't know what your standard envelopes are, so you may have to measure first, but you want to yield a 9-inch size. So you're going to cut 1/4 inch off of each side. That will give you your pockets that you see here and here. So you want to cut it down to 9 inches, make sure all the envelopes are sealed. Now, I've noticed that just sealing them using the gum paste here is just sometimes not enough, so I'll go over them with a glue stick. But just seal them down really good. Then once you have it sealed, you're going to fold it at 5.5 inches so that you have this. So this is 5.5 inches, and then this is the other 3.5 inches on this side. So there's your flap. And there's your envelope. Now you're going to do this to however many envelopes you want to do. This particular book that I have here is 1, 2, 3, 4 envelopes. On the 5th envelope, there's 5 envelopes. On the 5th envelope, instead of cutting it down to 9 inches, I'm cutting it down to 7 inches. So I have 3.5 on one side, 3.5 on the other side, and that's so that whenever I get ready to bind it, I have an extra thing to bind it to the book. But that was because of the project that I'm doing. I believe, yeah, you're going to have to do that if you want the pocket to be on the binding or on the page with the binding. So this is how I put it together. I'm going to also take the envelopes, and I have 2 that are red here that are cut up already. So I have 2 envelopes that are cut and scored at 5.5 and 3.5. So what you're going to do is you're going to take on the first page, it's going to be the short side out. Then you're going to take the long side, flip it over, and glue this to that side, so that you have the flap now. You're going to have this flap will get glued to the binding. This is open for a book, a tag. This is open for a tag. And then you start the process. And you're going to continue to layer those until you get all the way through your envelope. And then the last envelope that you adhere will be your 7-inch envelope. And again, short side to long side. All the way through the book, it's short side to long side, short side to long side. Then this will give you the 2 flaps that you need for binding. As you can see, they're like this. So there's your book. It's all put together. Now, when you put your book together and you're gluing your pages, make sure when you glue your 2 envelopes together that you don't put a ton of glue right here towards the edge of the fold, because that will allow, when you are adding dimension to your book, you want to give that a little bit of breathing room so that this area right here can expand in the binding, or else it's going to kind of be a little constricted, so, and hard to bend the pages back and forth. So you want to take the glue on this side though all the way to the edge, and again, make sure all of these are glued down really good. You don't want them sticking out. Once you get all that done, do not bind this until the end. The last thing I do after I've decorated the book, the last thing I do is add the binding. So the next thing you're going to do is you have all your books put together. Then I cut, and I believe this is going to be 4 inches wide. Measure your envelope before you do it, but I think it's 4 inches wide by 3.5, because that's the gap that I have here, plus 2 inches, so it's 5.5. So it'll be 4 inches by 5.5. I don't know if you can see that in the video. So it's 4 inches. That's just a piece of cardstock, and that's giving me my flap that's going to cover this hole here. So it comes over like that. And what you're going to do is it gets glued to the inside right here. When you put this in the larger side of the envelope, you're going to put a little bit of adhesive on this side of the thing so that you keep your pocket. You want to keep your pocket. And then you're just going to fold it over to cover that. And then you just fill it with the paper of your choice, whatever paper you want. Now, to do the binding, there's 2 types of bindings that I did. On this one, what I did was, because this book is actually 6 inches wide, or it's like 5.5 or something, but in order to put the chipboard on it, you have to go a little bit wider than what your envelope size is. Excuse me. So what you want to do is take a piece of chipboard and cut it. I cut mine to about 5.5, I think it's 5 3/4 or 6 inches, whichever, measure it first. And you just want to leave a 1/4 inch all the way around so that you've got a good sturdy end here. You can see whenever I close my book up, you can tell there's a little bit of a gap between the binding and the actual paper. That way, if I have anything that's sticking out, like these little deco edges or whatever, they don't get damaged. So what I did was I took this, and you want to take 2 pieces of cardstock, and you're going to lay them, giving yourself a little bit of a gap. Remember, you've already decorated this, so it's going to be a little bit wider. So you're going to take this, and you're going to put it between the 2. Or actually, you're going to take this and you're going to glue this to this, just like that. And then you're going to come back, and this flap that's over here, you're going to bring it. Now leave a little bit of a gap, because whenever you go to put your photographs in here, it's gonna expand even more. So the wider you make this gap in between, the wider, the more room for expansion. So glue that down, and you want to use a really sturdy glue to glue these 2 down, because they're weight bearing. They're going to be the load bearing of your book. So glue these 2 down, and then you'll have the chipboard cover. It'll look like this. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me, how do I cover this? Does it go all the way around? With this particular book, because 12 by 12 paper will not go all the way around this book with leaving the gap in the spine, what I did was, before I glued down the envelope, I just covered this paper, or this, with scrapbook paper. And you just want to do it like a book. You want to, you're going to bring this over. You're going to trim this off, and then bring this over. Leave about 1 inch on each side. Bring it over, bring this over, and glue all the sides down all the way around. And then once it was bound onto the 2 pieces of chipboard, then I took an extra piece of cardstock and covered, to hide the edge here, because I don't like the way it looks. I just took an extra piece of cardstock, folded it around like this, and glued it down. So I know that's kind of a rough sketch, but somebody needs this right away, this tutorial right away. If you're still confused, I'm sorry, email me, and I'll try and do one where everything's cut and I go through all of the process. But hopefully this will give her the direction she needs to get started on her project. Thank you for watching.